series. Hello, beautiful people. Hi there. It's me again, Tabang Mapori, with part 3 of Nurturing Passion for Prayer. So, today, part 3, we're going to talk about hindrance to prayer. We're going to identify distractions that inhibit your prayer life. Okay, so there's two things that we're going to touch on that mostly affect and hinders you from developing intimacy with God, developing passion for prayer, that's hindering you from prayer or from praying. Okay, so one of the first things that we're going to look at is pride. Okay, so pride is the greatest, first of all, diversion to prayer. King David wrote in the book of Psalm 10 verse 4, he says that in his pride, the wicked has no room for God. In his thoughts, there is no room for God. You see, people, the proud has no time for God. They even look down on prayer. But you need to understand that prayer is God-centered. I mean, by its very nature of asking, seeking, knocking, prayer is humbling. Okay? Prayer is humbling. When we bow in prayer, we are humbling ourselves before the presence of God, seeking His help and direction. Okay, so we look at Him as the source of life. I mean, these things are contrary to human pride. Hence, a proud person cannot have intimacy with God. They just can't, unless they surrender their will to Him. So that's one of the first, part of what hinders us from praying. So pride is a very demonic and dangerous spirit that we need to be careful of. Okay, so another thing is impatience. So another hindrance to prayer is impatience while we are waiting for God. Okay, so impatient seekers, you know what they do? Impatient seekers, they perceive prayer as being ineffective. I mean, because people who do not understand the power of prayer, né, and God's timing, they believe they need to do something in order to make a difference. I once heard a story about a preacher who asked his congregation to pray about a political issue that was coming up for vote in the parliament, and that would prove to be spiritually devastating if it passed. So one of the parishioners or the congregants, one of the women in the church said, I hear you saying you need us to pray, okay, but I am a person of action. I actually need to do something. What else can I do? You see, now, the pastor tried to explain to the woman what he tried to explain to the woman what God could do if his people could pray sincerely. Even the laws of a country would change. They can change if people would really pray. You see, now the woman is missing the significance of bowing before his presence. And what that could do for them in any situation. That's what the woman missed. I mean, when you look at the book of Second Chronicles 7 verse 14 states, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and forgive their sin and will heal their land. So praying, people, is one of the most effective things that we can do as Christians. In fact, we cannot do anything else effectively unless we have prayed. So we need to have patience and wait for God. So these two things is one of the hindrance to a prayer life, or to developing passion for prayer, or to developing intimacy with God: pride and impatience. So we need to ask God to help us not to become too proud, help us not to be impatient. So let this be the center of your prayer life, throughout this week, around you not being impatient, praying about and seeking, asking, and humbling yourself before God. Pray about it, learn about, understand it, waiting upon God. Don't be too proud, because like I said, the proud, they don't have time for God. Okay, so that's all we're gonna touch on today. Thank you so much for joining me, people, and I hope you stay blessed. And if you are liking these videos, please subscribe and click like, and then catch you on the part 4 of nurturing passion for prayer.